Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to see how we can consume the REST web service. If we are going to create an interface that will help us to consume the another REST web service. So for that, we are going to use the HTTP request connector to consume the other REST web service. So let's go to the AnyPoint Studio and let's create the flow. Okay. Now I am on the AnyPoint Studio and let's create the flow. Let's click on right click and let's click on the mule configuration file and let's give here the flow name as the REST. Anything you can write, but I want to write as a REST web service as okay. I am creating a REST web service as a consumer. Let's drag and drop the listener connector and let's use the logger so that I can want to print what I am sending. After that, let's use the HTTP. If you go here and if you write here HTTP, there will be lots of, you can for basic security, listener, load statics, polling and request. If you want to use REST as a web service consumer, then you have to use the request node. Just you have drag and drop the request. Again, let's use the, that is fine. Okay. Now here we have to again give the configuration detail. We need to create the configuration detail. Everything I am going to create and everything I am going to create into the global.xml, not here. Okay. Let's first configure the listener. So let's create the HTTP listener configuration in the global.xml. So go to the global element and just click on create and write here listener, HTTP listener configuration, and give here the port number 8082 because 8081 already I have used. Give here the base path as flow and click on test connection. Connection is successful and just click on OK. Now go to the web service, go to the listener, and if you drop the, you can see already it will come. Give here the path as a v2 and let's give the my flow. I think my flow. Okay. Anything you can write, but I'm writing here like that. Okay. Just click on save. Now listener thing has been gone. Let's go to logger. In the logger, I want to see what is coming in the payload. So let's write here the payload. Okay. So now let's go to request node and try to configure. Let's take a scenario. I have already a this flow that works like that. If any request came to here, it insert into the HR table and it is insert into the employee table and HR table. So what I am expecting, I am expecting this flow to be consumed from this flow. Whatever the request we are sending, it will once it will came here, it will route it to the this flow, and this flow it is going to work and it is going to insert into the table. Okay. So what it is doing, it is consuming the this web service. So that's the reason it is called as a web service consumer. Okay. So let's give the detail. Again, here we need to also create a configuration, and the configuration name is the HTTP request configuration. So let's copy this name and go to the global just click on create. Give here the name as the HTTP listener, HTTP request, and it will give you HTTP request configuration. Just click on OK, and here we need to give that all details that what we want to keep. Let's keep here base path as a slash flow, and let's give here host as a local host that we are trying to. Okay, before that I want to tell you this configuration we are using, that is linked to this the flow reference HTTP configuration. Okay, so keep this in mind, 8081 and that all. Okay, let's me increase the client timeout to more time and just click on OK. Now I have created the HTTP listener configuration, HTTP request configuration. So what I am doing, I am creating a flow with the listener, and I am going to hit this flow with the help of postman. Once flow will come to here, this request, it will be routed to this flow and it will insert into both table employee and HR. So this flow is being consumed by this request node. But here we need to give the HTTP listener configuration. Here we need to give the HTTP request configuration so that it know that where I need to route it. So we have given the information similar to this listener. If you go to this listener and if you click on this, you are going to see I am using the port as the 8081, and if this is stored inside this configuration file, I am using the port 8081, and same thing I am using in the HTTP request configuration 8081, and this is also localhost, and the flow name slash flow I am using. If you see here, I am using the slash flow. If you click on here, I am using slash flow, you can see. So whatever the properties present in the HTTP listener configuration, whatever the property present in the HTTP listener configuration, I am using for the HTTP request configuration, so that my request will be routed to this flow. Now let's go to this flow and let's provide the more information. Let's select this request configuration, that let's save this file. Okay, and you can see this will automatically, once I create in global.xml, it will automatically come here. Here you need to select which method you want to do. Actually what I am doing, I am creating the table value, I am creating the row inside a table, so it is actually the post method. So write here the post method. Okay, the path what we want to do, the path I am using is the slash v1 slash myflow. Important feature is that if you see here, once I written the path, it will give a link. It will give a link that it will give a web service URL that this request is going to call. To make sure this URL is similar to this that we used to hit for the mule flow reference flow. If you remember the flow reference flow, we used to call this listener with the help of this URL, that is the http localhost.flow.v1.myflow. Okay, same URL that I am using in the HTTP request, and if you see here http://localhost.801 flow v1.myflow. So make sure this URL is correct. You have another option. If you don't want to keep these all flow and these all things, you can directly keep here the URL and it will work. But it is better to have keep the these all details, that will be helpful. Okay, so once I am going to send this request with the help of this URL, let me modify the URL v2. This is the new URL that I have configured into this HTTP listener with the 8082 port, with the 8082 port, with the slash flow, and the I am using the same thing like that, v2 and my flow. So once I am going to hit this flow HTTP listener with this web service URL, it will go to logger, it will come to request, and it is going to hit this web service URL, that is the v1.myflow, and this web service URL will route to this flow because this is the 8081 port, and with the v1 myflow, again this is going to insert this with the help of flow reference into these two table. Okay, so let's test this web service and see whether it is working, and what we are injecting, and in the, and if you see in the request, if you see in the body, we are sending the payload, the whatever the payload we are injecting in this listener, we are sending to this request, and this payload is going to be injected into this listener, and again this will work to insert into the table. If you want to inject in this flow as some URI and some query parameter, then again you have a option, you can write here the header if you want to send, query parameter and URI, these all thing you can inject into this request, and it will go to the other flow, that is the flow that is going to consume. That is all about the HTTP request. Let's try to debug and see what is happening. Let me try to keep a breakpoint here. Okay, the localhost 666 is not available, click change. Okay, why it is coming like that? Let me try it. Okay, localhost 666. Okay, using a localhost not available, please check if the other process is currently using the other port. Okay, let me see what is there is some problem in debugger, so let me check. If I go to the, please let me go to the setting. If I go to the setting, file, properties, and if I go to debug, debug setting. Okay, if I go to the which flow I'm using, the flow reference, will debugger 66, that is fine. Why it is not working? Okay, let me see what wrong is happening. There is some problem happening while debugging mode, but let me try to deploy. It will deploy. There is some problem happening with while debugging. Okay, you are already running instance. Okay, what is the problem? While the problem happening while flow, everything I have designed correctly, it is happening while debugging. So let's try to see. I am currently not in debugging. I am trying to deploy and test the flow. So let's test the flow. Okay, and if after that I will also try to show you in the debug mode. Okay, so let's first try to test the flow. Let's remove the breakpoint. I don't need a breakpoint for now. Let's wait till it is deployed, then after that I'm going to test the flow. So it has deployed successfully. You can see it has deployed. So let's test the flow. Let me change the some name to, let me make as a Mohan Kumar, and let me employee ID as something random number, and let me rating give him as a C, and let me, this is for the year 2023. Okay, and let me modify here. Okay, okay, now let's test the flow. Okay, once I send, you can see status coming as both status is coming successfully. If you go here and if you go and see in the table, now you can see Mohan Kumar has been started with C bandit for 2023, and you can see the Mohan Kumar with the band C in the both table. So what it happened, once I hitted this web service, it came here. After that, it came to logger. Logger has printed the payload. After that, it came to this request node. This request node having the web service URL, this one, and this is the web service URL for this flow. It routed to this flow, and after that, it inserted into the both table. Let me try to deploy the application into debug mode, and if it has been deployed in debug mode, then I'm going to show in debug mode. So let's me try to deploy it. Okay, now my application is deployed into the and it is in debugger mode. I did not do anything earlier. Somehow it was some, maybe it will be some problem, but I tried to deploy in debug mode and it deployed successfully. I did not do anything. Okay, now let's try to move into debug mode and let's try to send the request. Before that, let me add a breakpoint. Okay, now let me send the request with some different name, Mohan Raj Kumar, and let me employee ID give some different. Okay, and band let me give to B, and it is for the year 2024. Okay, let's try to hit the flow. Once I hit the flow, it came to here. If you see, it will go here again. This will route to the, this is going to consume the other flow. You can see it came here to the mule reference. It moved to the flow reference. After that, it came to here. It inserted into the table. After that, again reference came back to the flow reference. Then it goes to here. Okay, it is something timeout happen. So let me try to again send, because there is some timeout second. There will be a 30-second something or 20 seconds. So it's timeout happen. So let me see. Let me try to send it again, and let's try to, okay, do some quickly. We can increase the timeout. That's not a problem, but I don't want to increase it. Okay, because for the every web service timeout time, it better to keep in very low. Okay, so let me keep the name as this time as a Risu Raj, my name, and let me employ ID something like that, and let me give the band as a D band. I'm the very poor in the, I'm very poor. Let's give the D band. Okay, and let's try to hit this flow. This time I'm going to try to move forward fast. Okay, let's move forward. You can see how it is going. It came here, it came here, it came inserted in table, it came again back to here, it goes here, it inserted in table, again it came here, it goes and it give the response. Somehow timeout happen, that's again, but if you see, it will insert in table. Let me go to table, and if I do HR table, you can see Risuraj has been inserted, and if you see employee table, it has been Risuraj also inserted, because till the here flow has worked properly. You can see Risuraj is inserted. At last, while the providing the response, it timed out. Okay, let's try to hit one more time with the different value Risu 1 Raj, and employee, let me add one. Okay, let's send the file, send it. Let's move forward quickly this time. You can see it came here, 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 and you can see given the response. You can see. Okay, so how it is following? It is, first we are sending the web service to this listener with the help of this. It is coming to the logger. In logger, it is printing the, you can see in the console, it is printing the payload. After that, it is coming to request. In request we have the web service URL this, and this is the equivalent to this flow web service URL. This consumer basically is going to route this flow to this flow, because this consumer, this web service request is going to consume this flow. So again this is going to consume this flow, it will came here, and after the flow reference it is going to insert into this EMP table, employer table. After that it will came back and it will insert into this HR table, and it will throw the response as the both table has been employed and inserted successfully, and it came here. As you can see the similar thing. So hope you have enjoyed this HTTP request one. In next class we are going to see the SOAP as a consumer. So again, if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. Again, if you have any doubt, you can contact me. Thank you all.